I'd like to thank everyone for agreeing to participate on this committee. I do know how valuable your time is, and we will try our best not to squander a minute of it. I do want to, at the outset, point out that these sessions are being recorded. They will be available to the public, and more importantly, they will be available to each of you if you should need to miss a particular meeting. That's one of the few advantages Zoom has over face-to-face meetings. As many of you know, the genesis of this initiative is an executive order that was issued by the governor last summer. The order doesn't prescribe a particular method or approach to conduct these meetings. It really leaves that to the individual communities to craft their process based on the relevant factors in their communities. So it is unlikely that you will see any two communities that are approaching this in the exact same fashion. In Troy, we had a number of efforts underway prior to the executive order, and I felt it important not to lose the momentum on those matters. I felt it important to get them either completed or well along before we embarked on this exercise. At the same time, I do not see reimagining as an event as much as it is a process, particularly in a dynamic environment. So I'm not approaching this exercise in a way that concludes when this report is submitted to the state. Although I don't know at this time what the form might take, I do believe that there does need to be ongoing and organized dialogue among those in criminal justice, the mental health, substance abuse, homeless, and the community at large, and maybe others. I think that is an absolute necessity if we are to build enduring trust and effective responsiveness to the needs in our communities. So the PRRC, the Police Reform and Reimagine Collaborative, is but one step in this process. And this is a process that began well before this summer. And it's a process that will continue well after we submit our report on April 1st. As it happens, Chief Owens and his leadership team have engaged in a series of changes in the department since they assumed their roles a couple of years back. Much work was done this summer to advance those changes. We have reworked our use of force policies. They are now consistent with the principles of 8 can't wait. We have reworked our discipline policies so that they link more seamlessly with the newly constituted Police Objective Review Board. We have completed the state accreditation process. Only about, I think it is 30% of the police departments in New York State have done that. It is a recommendation of the governor to do that. We've been accredited for 20 years, and this summer we went through the reaccreditation process. We instituted the Emotionally Distressed Persons Response Training, EDPRT. This is an intense 40-hour training. Our last class was held in December. The news has recounted a number of tragic incidents around the country this year between police officers and individuals in emotional or mental distress. We want to make sure that our officers have the right tools to address these sorts of situations. About 50% of our department has completed this training, and 2 more sessions are planned for this year, 2021. We've rewritten policies and procedures for the Police Objective Review Board to ensure that it will be a citizen-led initiative, and we've recruited new members for the board. We are on the cusp of deploying body-worn cameras. The cameras have been acquired and are being set up as we speak by the vendor. And I think you're going to find that many of the steps that appear in plans of other departments are exactly what we've already done. So we are in many regards a step ahead. So now we're going to move forward building on that work. You've been asked to serve on this committee for very specific reasons. There's a growing sense that the footprint of policing has become too large, that we depend on police departments to undertake an ever-widening array of services, requiring a superhuman breadth of experience, expertise, and precision. It's a crushing and unattainable expectations. And when we fall short of that goal, we lose the trust of community. And without trust, the goal of public safety becomes elusive. Each of you joins us with experience, either in the criminal justice system or through your work with those who frequently interact with the police and the criminal justice system. In this process, I'm asking you to listen to the concerns and ideas of the community. I'm asking you, based on your experience, to help us vet those ideas. And importantly, I'm asking you to look at your experience for the intersections between your work, the needs of the community, and the work of the Troy Police Department. Are there opportunities to work together in new ways to address the needs of our community? That's the reimagining part. Again, I'd like to thank you for your time. And I'd like to reiterate this needs to become a regular part of the work that we do. And I hope you'll find enough value in this work to continue the dialogue even after we report to the state. At this time, I'd like to introduce Chief of Police Brian Owens to say a few words. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Owens. I'd like to thank everyone for being a part of this committee. Most all of you know me and Deputy Chief Dan DeWolf personally and professionally. We have worked together with you throughout our careers and even more intensely in our current roles. The Troy Police Department is a full-service, New York State accredited law enforcement agency. Each of you and your organizations interact with the men and women of our department, sometimes on a daily basis. Our members are dedicated to serving others, and we demonstrate this through our actions and attitudes. We are grateful for the strong support of our community members and strive to not only keep people safe from crime, but to also help people in ways big and small. We're also fortunate to have you as partners. We are especially thankful for the people and resources of your organizations that you can offer to the people of Troy and beyond. While this meeting and the ones to follow in the next several weeks are in the context of the New York State Executive Order 203, the Troy Police Department has had frequent conversations and collaborated with our community, including your organizations, over many years, in some cases decades. We have evolved over time to better serve our community, and we welcome this ongoing dialogue to find ways to improve as a police department. We also look forward to continuing to work with your organizations and various levels of government to address issues of crime, disorder, and injustice. Thank you for all that you have done and what you will do to make Troy a healthier, better, and safer city. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Before we get into the logistics, I'd like to expand a bit more on the purposes of the committee. We emailed a few moments ago an agenda for this evening. It describes a purpose for the committee. If you have not received it, it's also on the website. We'll get that to you. While we have no intention of censoring those who wish to speak, we will be encouraging speakers to address one or all of the 4 questions we posed. They're included in the handout for tonight as well. The idea is to get people looking forward. The idea is to get people to explore new possibilities. You'll note that each of the questions probe for constructive ideas for change. So I'll read them quickly just in case you haven't opened your email yet. But the first says, what steps could the Troy Police Department take to enhance community relations? Again, open-ended question, forward-looking, how might we create better relationships with the community we serve? Second question, what current practices or policies of the Troy Police Department could be modified to build better relations with the community while simultaneously advancing safe neighborhoods and communities? We're trying to find a balancing point. How do we adapt our policies to be friendly? how do we do that in a way that promotes neighborhood safety, which is what we're all about. Third question is, what can the community, including residents, businesses, service providers, and other agencies of government do to assist the police department in ensuring safe neighborhoods and communities for all of Troy's residents? The notion there is that public safety is bigger than just police. It takes all of us playing a role in it. Policing was never, from its inception, envisioned to be the sole to be solely responsible for public safety. Policing is a tool that communities use to promote public safety, but we all have a role in that. And the final question, what steps can be taken to support and enhance Troy police officer recruitment, continuing education, and well-being? Obviously, the efficacy and of the department is entirely dependent upon the individuals who work in those jobs. Policing is a service organization. So we need good people, we need to train them well, and we need to support them, because as I alluded to earlier, it's an enormous job with enormous pressures, and we demand a lot of them. I will note that the schedule going forward envisions two types of general meetings. The first are simply meetings where anyone can sign up to speak. There will be at least three of those. The second meetings are for what we call affinity groups. These are groups that we are aware of that have taken an interest in the subject matter, and they've spent time debating, discussing, and developing suggestions. So in view of the time and the commitment they've made, we thought that they should have their own opportunity to present their ideas and have a dialogue with us separately. We're honoring the work that they've put into this particular topic. At this time, what I'd like to do is introduce our facilitator for these meetings, Tamara Gatshell. Tamara runs her own company called Creative Cadence, and over the years, she's done a good deal of work with Fred Miller of Khalil Jameson. I think most of you probably know Fred. He's done extensive work in the city of Troy. And in fact, is an initiative that I didn't mention is that he is working with the Troy Police Department right now. So Tamara?
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you this evening. And I always see those people smiling when you say Fred Miller's name. So it's always good to be associated with Fred when you're in the Troy area and beyond. So I'm looking forward to helping with some facilitation at the listening sessions that are going to be coming up in the February timeframe. And what we thought we would do first is just have an opportunity for everyone to go around and just say hello. If you could tell us your name and then what organization you're associated with. And if there's anything you'd like to share about, why you're excited to participate on the committee, or something that you're hoping to learn from the listening sessions that we'll have with the community. So why don't we go in alphabetical order? Kathy, could we start with you?
Good evening. I'm Catherine Alonge Coons. I serve as the Commissioner of Mental Health in Rensselaer County. Our mental health department has a long history of collaboration with Troy PD, and I look forward to working together again on this project.
Thank you, Kathy. Laura, would you like to introduce?
Hi, Laura Bauer. I'm the director of the probation department in Rensselaer County. We work pretty closely with Troy Police on a lot of different issues, and a lot of times we're out in the field with them at the same time. So I'm really looking forward to this process because I think maybe I can learn some things that will help improve probation practice. Again, I look forward to what the community has to say and the outcomes of the committee will put us all in a better place. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. Chris? Oh,
Chris, you're muted.
you're on mute.
I love Zoom. Love Zoom. Sorry to mention this, but I'm wondering how Kathy Coons alphabetically goes first when Laura Bauer and Chris Burke are B's and she's a C. Oh,
Because
okay,
my,
never mind.
my
Sorry.
legal name begins with an A.
Ah, Alonzo, right, sorry.
Alonge,
Got it.
Alonge
Okay.
Coons.
Lange, okay. Sorry.
Thank you for
Um,
clearing
any-
up that process question, Chris. It's good. Okay.
Yes, I appreciate it. Chris Burke with Unity House. I've been with Unity House for 40 years. Unity House is 50 years old. And we have, I am sorry to say, more interaction with the police than I think either they or us would prefer. But most of it is positive and an awful lot of supporting each other. We have a domestic violence program where we actually have a formal grant funded by the federal government, where we have 2 police officers that work in our domestic violence, non-residential office space, and work together very closely on combating domestic violence. And our mental health programs have a number of times interacted with the police around people who are in emotional distress, in danger to themselves, oftentimes, those kinds of situations. We also have a program that serves people who are in crisis, usually for financial insecurity, and they walk into our building, and sometimes, you know, they're in distress as well. They're in distress for one reason, but sometimes that gets to the point where there needs to be some police interaction, and we appreciate what the police have done many, many times to help support us in those situations. And we also have a program that serves children with developmental delays in a daycare, and far less frequently, but occasionally we'll have a situation where we'll have a parent who's doesn't have custody of a child, who's trying to abscond with the child, or an angry parent, and those kinds of things. So just in terms of our interaction daily, we do interact with the police a lot. And I really look forward to the opportunity to work with all of you to do whatever we can to improve safety and make the community better.
Thank you, Chris. Deputy Police Chief Dan.
Okay, yep, Dan DeWolf here. Still love being a cop after 26 years, and I'm really excited about this process. I think that as great a department as we have, we can always improve. And I think that the people on this forum here are all really great people. I've worked with a lot of you in the past, and I respect all of you, and think that we're going to do some great things here. So I'm getting ready for the ride, and I'm excited about it. That's about it.
Thank you, Dan. Mary Pat.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Pat Donnelly, Rensselaer County District Attorney. Obviously, I work very closely with the Troy Police Department on a daily basis. I'm just glad that we're all together to have this conversation, because I know that I have spoken with a lot of you individually, and I know we all agree that having a conversation of this nature is necessary. And I think this was the spark we needed to come together and just to start the dialogue, and most importantly, the listening. I think we all need to acknowledge whatever perspective we come to the table with, there are very different perspectives on the other side. In just a few short days since the announcement of who was on the committee, I've been brought into some perspectives that I did not know existed. So it's interesting to recognize that there is another viewpoint. And more importantly, I think it's really tough for some of us to acknowledge, we may not like that other viewpoint, but I think it's great that we're all here. And I'm looking forward to going forward with the process and building my relationship with Troy PD, and we can work together, because the outcome really is for a safer and more productive Troy, and that's what we're all working towards. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Pat. Stacy.
Stacy, if you're talking, you're muted.
Is she on the phone?
She is.
*6 to unmute your phone.
Stacy, are you able to say
Yes,
hello?
Hello?
We
Hi,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead. Shoot.
All right, we can hear.
Hello?
Hi, Stacy, we can hear you now.
How you doing? My name's Stacey Howard, and I'm on the Police Objective Review Board, and I have a very diverse background. Most recently, I worked for the Education Department, tasked with oversight of making sure that we have good teachers in our school districts throughout New York State. Not only teachers, but anybody who basically works in the school district. And I worked for probation department, but not through Rensselaer County. I worked through Albany County. And I also worked for Amtrak's Inspector General. Would also like to add that I am a person of color. So I guess for me, I have done work as far as working with the police and learning about different things that have happened in the community. But on the other side, again, you know, I'm a person, I come from a background, I'm a person of color. So I guess I've been on both sides, more or less, to see different things and have a different opinion. And I look forward to working with this committee.
Thank you, Stacy. We're glad to have you. Deputy Mayor.
Hi, everybody. Monica Kuzieski. Glad to see everybody here. We have a couple others that will be joining us shortly as well, too. This committee, I'm just excited to have everybody at the table. And I think that those collective voices that we'll hear from the community, I think we need to hear all of them, not just the loud ones, but all of our community, so that we can make a holistic approach to this, something that serves the community at large, as well as those who most need us to help. So I think that this is a collaborative atmosphere. It's not a contentious atmosphere. And I think as long as we listen, and engage, as Fred Miller teaches us to, we will come to those decisions and solutions. And I think that's what we're looking for. We're looking for solutions. We're not looking to develop more problems, outline more problems. We're looking for solutions to make our community better as we continue to grow. So thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you, Monica. Carmela?
Hi, everyone. Carmela Mantello, Troy City Council President. I represent the city at large. We have 6 districts and 1 at-large council member. The charter was changed a couple of years ago, so I'm your at-large representative. And as the mayor mentioned, I know our police force is truly ahead of the curve on a number of fronts when we look and compare ourselves to other municipalities, but there's more work to be done. And I look forward to working with the task force. I look forward to listening to Troy as a whole and developing a realistic plan, and one that I truly believe moving forward will be a work in progress. And as the mayor stated, we won't be done on April 1st. It will continue years down the road. So thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Carmela. Kevin?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin O'Connor, the director of Joseph's House and Shelter. I've been with the agency about 24 years now, and things have evolved over the past 24 years. We can't do our work without a number of other people in the community, particularly the police, and their responsibility has expanded, or they've faced a lot more challenges over the past 24 years in the service. So we certainly recognize that. We would love to be able to partner with them to reimagine some of the work we do in collaboration. I think that could work for everyone. We work with folks who are street outreach programs 7 days a week. We have our 24-hour homeless shelters for single adults and families, and we have permanent housing for about 208 residents here in Troy.
Thank you, Kevin. Renee?
Good afternoon. My name is Renee Powell. I'm president of the Troy branch of the NAACP. And I am very pleased to be on this board. And I am very ecstatic to hear that this is not going to be a one and done type of process, that this will be an ongoing process. And since July of last year, we have been meeting regularly with the mayor and and some of the other city executives about some of the concerns of violence in the city of Troy. And out of that, some other things have come to light. And so just like that is continuing, I'm hoping that what we learned from this process, we can incorporate that and create a safer environment here in Troy. One of the things that I am pleased about, I'm not sure if Chief Owens or the mayor mentioned it, but the EDPRT training that took place, I participated in that somewhat, and that was a worthwhile training. It was for the police department or the police force, the law enforcement people. I think this is something that should be spread out to the community. So these are the kinds of things that I hope we come up with, going through this process. One of the things that I am concerned about, though, with the group here is that behind the 203 executive order, a lot of this, what prompted this was the violence that was experienced last year, and especially the killing of George Floyd. And in reading the executive order, my understanding was that there was to be some representation from the community, and the community is represented here, but I would have expected a little more representation at the table here. But that is something we can discuss later on down the line. That's just been my observation thus far, but we can discuss that more at a later date. And I just want to say thank you all, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to having some robust conversations to come up with some great decisions for a safer environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Pastor Ralph?
Good night, everyone. My name is Justin Ralph. I wear a few different hats in the city of Troy, but I've been asked to come to the table to represent the religious community. So I am the senior pastor of the Rhema Revealed Ministries. I pastor alongside with my wife, Carrie Ralph. We pastor here and we hold services at the Oakwood Community Center. And I'm just excited to be a part of this board. I love the mantra from the disability rights movement, nothing about us without us. And so I really think that this is what we're doing here, bringing in the voice of the community so that we can make decisions for a safer Troy for everyone. So thank you very much for the invitation to be a part of this. And I'm excited to serve the city of Troy in this capacity.
Thank you, Pastor. Starletta Smith, the Executive Director of the YWCA of Greater Capital Region, is not on tonight. And then I don't think, is John Turry on? I don't think we have John from the Rensselaer County Public Defender. So Ken, I'm going to say hello.
Ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Ken Zalewski. I'm the City Council President Pro Tem and representative of District 5 in the city of Troy, which I like to say is Troy's largest and most diverse district in the city. We've got, I actually represent the neighborhoods of Little Italy and Riverside and Washington Park and Osgood and Hillsview Heights and Mount Ida and the east side. So we've got a ton of neighborhoods and a lot of different people and opinions and cultures. And I think that's also represented in this group as well, which is wonderful. I do plan to listen more than I speak, even though I know a lot of people think that I speak too much. And I will say that back in June, I attended the Troy Rally for Black Lives down in Riverfront Park, myself and 11,000 other people. Probably the largest rally I think I've ever seen in Troy since I've been here. And it was peaceful and it was poignant and inspiring. And as a result, the city council we created our own work group, our Community Justice Services work group. And that work group continues its own work. And part of what I consider to be, at least for my own role as a city council person, one of my tasks is to try and coalesce the input that comes out of our work group and the results of our group here, and to see how we're going to coalesce those into the final result and to comply with the executive order. So we definitely have a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm very excited. I know so many of you here, a lot of familiar faces and some new faces. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for those introductions. Mayor, I don't know if you have anything that you want to share before we go into kind of the process of how we'll, engage with listening with the community, with the affinity groups and the public forums.
Sure. So I'm Patrick Madden. I'm the mayor of Troy. I've been the mayor for 5 years and 32 days now. There's nothing that keeps me up at night in this job like the police department does. And it's not because I mistrust them, it's because of the nature of the work that they do. They all are good people, most of them young with families, and we're putting them out there in harm's way. And I think it's incumbent upon me to do everything that I can to make sure that we minimize the threats to our city, to them, and that we give them the tools to do an impossibly difficult job to the best of their ability, and that we support them in doing that. So I've made a career of stealing good ideas from other people and bringing them to Troy. So I'm looking forward to some good ideas coming up here that we can bring to the benefit of Troy. Thank you.
Okay, what I'm going to do next is just share my screen so that we can look at the, hold on one second. Okay. Can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to just take us through we've talked about these listening sessions. The mayor mentioned them in the beginning, and I would just like to take you through kind of from a process perspective, what will that look like? So just to orient you to the slide, over on the left is the timing, and you're going to see the time frame goes from February all the way down to the 1st of April, when the executive order certification is required on the part of all police departments across the state. So the affinity groups that the mayor talked about, when we say affinity group, what we're referring to is a group of people who are linked by a common interest or purpose. And so there are, if you look up on the right side of the slide, you're going to see the list of affinity groups. This committee is going to be hearing from North Central Community Group, from different social service agencies, from the Justice Center of Rensselaer County, and from the Reimagine Troy Community Justice Services Work Group that Ken was just talking about. So each of those affinity groups are going to have an opportunity to come and be with the committee for about 45 minutes. And they can use part of that time to make recommendations, to share a presentation. And we also would like to have an opportunity for this committee to engage with them in dialogue, to ask questions and have some back and forth. So they will be 45 minutes. So if you look over on the left now and you follow the orange, we will be meeting a week from today will be the first round of affinity group presentations. So there will be 2 affinity groups that will come on the 8th of February, and they'll each have 45 minutes. And then this committee will stay together to do about 15 minutes of debrief after each of the affinity group evenings. And then the following Monday on the 15th, there will be another two more affinity groups will come that evening. So the way that the affinity groups will work from a public perspective is they're going to be both recorded and they're going to be live to the public, but there will not be any public question and answer at the affinity group presentations. The way that the public can engage is if they have comments, they could enter them in the chat in Zoom, or they can send in an email, postal mail, if they have any comments about the affinity group presentations. And then in addition to the affinity group presentations, as the mayor mentioned, there will also be 3 public forums. So the first public forum will happen on the 10th of February, and then the following week, there'll be 2 more. They're held on Wednesdays and Monday nights from 6:30 to 8. And so the approach we're planning to use with the public forums is that there will be some opening comments, grounding folks in the work that we're doing, welcoming them, providing an overview of why we're engaged in this work, share some guidelines, and then we'll do some breakouts into different focus areas where there will be a facilitator in each breakout room, and they will have some prompting questions. And again, the idea is not to heavily facilitate as much as to just have some questions to start conversation. And then after the focus groups meet, they would then come back and they would share 2 to 3, threads or topics that were discussed in their focus area. And then there would be a closing of the public forum. And again, sharing, if someone was at the public forum and they didn't get a chance to share something, letting them know that they can email in any comments or send in postal mail to respond. So those are kind of the 2 ways that we're engaging with the community. A third way is through a community survey. So in mid-February, a survey will be sent out to the community. And then right now we're in kind of an open comment period on the City of Troy website. There is information how people can send in, again, email comments or postal mail comments. So you'll see that the work of this committee is really heavy in the February timeframe. We have a committee meeting this evening, which is, the 1st of February. The next time we'll get together as a committee will be on the 24th of February. And the Police Benevolence Association will be there on that evening, and they will have 45 minutes to do a presentation and have dialogue with the committee. And then the committee will do 45 minutes of work that evening, and then we'll wrap up on March 1st. And then what will happen from there is the city administration and the police leadership will start to write the plan. There will be in mid-March, there'll be a public comment period. Those comments will be taken into consideration. The plan will be finalized, and then on or before the 1st of April, the city council will ratify the plan. So I'll stop there and see if anyone has any questions about the structure of the community sessions and the affinity group presentations or the work of the committee.
Renee, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I had my hand up. As I read through, I did get an understanding that each group will have 45 minutes to present. Is that correct?
Yes. So if you look at in the upper right of the slide, there are some identified groups that are going to be coming and doing presentations.
Okay.
Or they're going to be coming with recommendations.
Okay.
And then the committee would have a chance to talk with them and to dialogue.
Okay, great. Now, I would like to have some groups added to that affinity group. One of the groups is called the Troy Black Leaders Coalition. Well, and that's the only one that I want to add for this time being. And my other question would be, what about some of the other groups that have been working, like the Troy for Black Lives, and I forget what the other one is, in the community?
Okay.
Have they been invited or considered? How do they get an invitation to be a part of the Infinity Group?
Mayor Madden, can I let you respond to that?
Sure. So Renee, it's our understanding that they're working through the the city council subgroup. I'm just searching for the title here. Oh, Reimagine Troy Community Justice Services Work Group.
Okay, very good. That's good. Okay,
So Renee, I can touch base with you on the Troy Black Leaders Association.
okay,
Get more information.
definitely,
Okay, very good.
definitely.
Are there any other thoughts about the affinity groups or any questions about the public forum? Okay. So why don't I'll go to the next slide. Let me just share again. Okay, hold on. There we go. So the deputy mayor, you kind of already touched on this. For those of you who have worked with Fred Miller and Khalil Jameson, we always have kind of some rules for the journey. And so as we think about the work of this committee, and Mary Pat, I thought you said it really nice when you were doing your introduction, saying that recognizing that many of us will have different viewpoints, and that it's important to lean into that and to really pay attention to something that's new or maybe different than the way you might think about something, and really take a stance of curiosity about where someone might be coming from or the perspective that they have. And really being willing to challenge ourselves to take that stance of curiosity and to be deeply listening. As we say at Khalil Jameson, it's about listening, and then engaging. Really hearing what the other person is sharing and the perspective that they're coming from. And I think we all know what it feels like when we really feel like someone is listening to what we're sharing as opposed to just waiting to speak. So really listening as an ally, and also this recognition that we're working for the common good and the shared success of the work of the committee and what it could do for the city of Troy as we work on this project together. So I'll stop there and see if there are any other questions or thoughts about those rules for the journey or the process that we're going to be of the committee work in the month of February.
I just had one question about for the meetings that we may not be able to attend, where would the recordings, would they be sent to us or would they be posted in a particular place for us to go and view them before the following hearing?
Justin, all of the meetings will be recorded and archived on the city's YouTube channel. So that will be youtube.com/TroyNY.
Okay, thank you, Joan.
I just want to say that this is very well structured. It looks like, we can accomplish what we need to accomplish with this structure, provided we stick to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
And one question, John, could you give me that YouTube address again? I'm in the mayor's seat with this technology stuff. I need to catch up.
Sure, it's www.youtube.com/TroyNY.
Okay, thank you.
And future meetings as well, depending on the structure. All of the meetings will be streamed live to YouTube, but they will also be posted there after the meeting is over. They'll be archived there permanently.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Thank you.
Renee, I threw that into the chat as well.
Any other questions or thoughts before I turn it back over?
Oops, sorry. I just wanted to let everybody know that this meeting is being recorded and we will actually put this up as well too. we all need a chance to kind of just introduce ourselves to Tamara, but also get kind of organized. But we also wanted to be transparent. So this will be actually up on the website as well too, because I know that there was a few people that thought that there was going to be a public meeting tonight, but we wanted to make sure that people knew that it was something they could review.
So this is Kevin. I have a question about, speaking of transparency and process. Are there any, and I'm not suggesting this, but there are any rules against some few people getting together outside of this forum or having discussion privately about the experiences that are happening in the public process? Are there any, what's our thinking about that? I know, like, public meeting rules and such like that impact some civic functions, and I just, I don't know where we lie with that.
Kevin,
So
could
Kevin,
you
there
just give an
would,
example? Kevin, could you just give an example of what that might look like, just, or what you were thinking?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know specifically. Something
Okay.
might come up in public feedback that a few of us seem to have an idea about, whether agreeing or disagreeing with each other and having private conversations outside of the forum.
no, I don't see any problem with that, Kevin. I would encourage any conversations you might have outside of this, and hope that you would bring back that thinking or those ideas to the larger group. This is completely open process.
Good.
All right, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you then if there's not any other questions or
Sure.
thoughts.
Okay, thank you, Tamara. And if other questions or concerns come up, feel free to reach out to myself or the chief. So just once again, I'd like to thank everybody in advance for their time and their critical thinking. I would venture to say that we all got into our respective jobs to serve others, to make for a better community. And I would also venture to say that each of you wishes from time to time that you weren't so caught up in the day-to-day machinations of your job, and that you actually did have more opportunities to make changes, and large changes in your community. I would just put out to you that this is exactly that opportunity. So I hope that you will dive right in and grab it. And I look forward to working with all of you. Again, thank you for your time. Now go shovel your sidewalk.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you all.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Thank you.